Hi everyone. Yeah, it's Pastor Dave. Stepping in with me is the devil, and we're going to hand the show over to the devil today because he's got a lot to say. So, take it away, devil. Hi everyone. Yeah, it's the devil. Yep, I'm here because Pastor Dave thought I might be able to talk to you about good and evil. And really, there's no other expert greater than me. I am the expert on evil. And therefore, if I'm the expert on evil, I'm also the expert on good. I hope you see that. This is just a duality. And if I know one side, I certainly know the other side. But I want to make a real specific point here. I was set up. I might be the representation of evil, but it wasn't really. I had no idea that was one of the choices. It just happened. I got totally used by God. Totally. Screwed me, man. Totally screwed me over. Here, I'm in heaven. I'm the most beautiful angel ever. The most beautiful being ever. I mean, here, I got a picture here. See me here? This? Well, oh yeah, it's right here. Okay. Well, anyway. The picture clearly shows that I am the greater luminous being than God. He's just a sort of gray cloud above us, of course. But nonetheless, He created me as the most beautiful being. Even more beautiful than God. So I thought, I bought all the hype. Totally got suckered into it. Yeah, I really thought I was the most beautiful being. And therefore, I should be God. I know. I regret it. I mean, it was a leap, but hey, I didn't know better. I let the best of me get to me. Or the worst of me got there. Which turns out to be the best of me. Now that I'm the personification of evil, I'm not capable of doing any good. And that's by design, because God needed to have an oppositional figure, if you will, to His figure of goodness. So God equals good, devil equals evil. Hence the spelling. But I was still set up. I get what He was planning on. This is some kind of, He needed human beings to have this free will, this idea that they could make a choice between good and evil. And I guess, because human beings are so stupid, they had to have this sort of externalized imagery to give them an idea of what is good and what is evil. And yet, if you really think about it, God has been nothing but terrible. I mean, the whole Old Testament is just filled with images of God doing awful things. I mean, the most evil of things. I know, you're all offended by it. I get it. But I didn't do this. And I totally was a bum rap thinking that I was the one in the Garden of Eden manipulating Eve into eating the fruit from the tree of knowledge, the tree of good and evil. Like God couldn't see that? This is His one day. Eve was 1 day old. She might have been a perfectly formed adult woman, but she was 1 day old. And she just didn't know things. They just don't know things. They didn't understand the idea that they were immortal beings just like me. They didn't get that. She didn't understand the consequence that if she ate the fruit, then she would lose her immortality, that the idea of death would come into her life. So, this serpent, who I don't know who it is, just popped up. Personally, I think it was a character that God created just to tempt Eve. just to tempt her, just to see if she would choose obeying God or disobeying God. And yes, he was easily talked into picking a piece of fruit off a tree. I mean, granted, it was an amazing tree, but so what? This crime that Eve committed is committed everywhere around the world, all the time, every day. Millions of people, millions of little children are running into the neighbor's yard and taking fruit off trees that they're not supposed to do. So Eve gets punished. Her and Adam, because Adam made it too. He's just as culpable. He made the choice to disobey God. But the level of intolerance, my God. God just swoops in and he throws them out of the garden. I mean, this dramatic punishment. I mean, would you do that as a parent? I mean, if your child went into the neighbor's yard and picked a piece of fruit off a tree and ate, would you kick them out of the house? Would you say, all right, that's it. Susie, Donnie, you two, pack up your stuff, get the hell out of our house, and never come back. Does that even sound remotely good? Is really God being so good? And the people of faith, faithful people, are always rationalizing, defending God for his horrible behavior. And he's the symbol of good, and I'm the symbol of evil. Totally bum rap. There's plenty of examples of God intervening into the lives of human beings, and the most dramatic and catastrophic of things happen. I mean, just think how he wiped out everybody, supposedly. When he asked Noah to build the ark, and once Noah had built the ark, and all the animals were in the ark, and they let it rain for 40 days, and he just flooded everybody, including Noah's grandfather. Incredible. Granted, he was 969 years old, but still, he killed his grandfather. That sounds evil. That sounds evil. Yeah, people of faith, God is good. I know why they're saying it. I understand it. I mean, you gotta say God is good. Because if you don't say it, he gonna kick your ass. He gonna do some stuff to you. He gonna be mean. He's gonna be revengeful. That's the God that you call good. And that's the God that, created me. Remember, I'm just a symbol of all that is evil. And where does that evil come from? It comes in the hearts of men and women around the world. God put that in everybody, including me, but I didn't know it. So, God, because he needed us to be evil, or at least have the potential for evil, so that we can make this choice. Well, let's see. We need to be good, or we need to be evil. And it's just perverse, because God has no real plan, as if, the human beings understand God, but, they keep convincing themselves somehow God is going to create justice in the world. He is going to save them. And the only promise that they get so far, at least the Christians, is an afterlife. The Muslims too, they believe the afterlife. They see that as where justice will prevail. Because clearly, justice doesn't prevail on earth. And of course, everybody's blaming me for that. Like, I'm the one starting all the wars and killing all the people and destroying all the lives. I'm not doing that. You're doing that. You're making that choice. And some of you are making that choice in the name of God, which is even more outrageous. The nature of evil is in all of us. And you're supposed to choose goodness over evil. And my job is to just sort of maintain this image. I guess that's part of the job. My job is to take the rap. My job is to give people some projection, some way of projecting their own evil outside of themselves. Perhaps to just to rationalize their own behavior. I mean, if the idea is that we need a devil so that people can project their sense of evil outside of themselves, it doesn't mean that people are going to take responsibility for their own evil. No, actually it doesn't. You just end up blaming me for everything. And you'll go on and continue to commit evil atrocities in the name of God and be totally oblivious to the reality that you are not good. That you're not being good. Like I said, I totally got screwed. God's the one that perpetuated evil. He's the one that created it. I don't exactly know why. Personally, I think it's some kind of reverse there. He just wants to see if people overcome their selfish nature, their evil nature, and come to God. And he doesn't really care if you do. I mean, he doesn't really. It's an even break. Flip a coin. Those that do, those that don't. He just wants to see if people will. If people will show God that they can choose good. But it's not like he cares. They don't care. The outcome doesn't matter. At least not to God. I mean, it matters to Jesus and Muhammad and Buddha. I mean, those guys tried to make it right. So, well, hey, look at this beautiful creation we have. We should do something with it. We should be better people. But ultimately, they like the idea in theory, but to apply it on a personal level, to actually make the real change in themselves, in their hearts and minds, it isn't going to work. I mean, in my opinion, I knew Jesus. I spent 40 days. You really get to know somebody when you spend 40 days in the desert. Yeah, you gotta survive. You gotta, not that it matters to me. I don't need the body, but anyway, he was very, very great. I mean, he was a great guy. Yeah, I mean, not that I'm capable of love, but if I would ever use that word, I'd use it with Jesus. I could say I love Jesus. Only I admired, I respected what he was trying to do. He was trying to do what I thought God probably should have done, or at least tried to lead the way. He certainly should have been a lot more forgiving with Adam and Eve. I mean, he should have been more nurturing. He should have definitely showed them the consequence of their actions. He should have really had them. He didn't have to just instantly punish them, throw them out to live in the barren wasteland outside the Garden of Eden, and then, of course, to lock up the Garden of Eden with no chance of getting back. So we always have to come back up with this figurative Garden of Eden in the afterlife. Ooh, things. So it's pretty sad that Jesus had to rise up. I mean, he did it. I mean, I gotta give him a hand. I gotta give him credit. It's kind of amazing. He helped me understand what real goodness is, what God probably had in mind. And he even, Jesus came up with the right kind of stuff, what I consider right. I mean, I tried to tell him, I says, hey, that sounds good, but let's face it, man. Let's just tell the truth. That is not going to work. It's a thing.